I'm Katt, and I have a million ideas. Now let's talk about those million ideas. I am a crafter. As you see, I have a small display of crafts that I create. I don't know from time to time what I'm going to do. I'm always on to the next thing. As you see here, I have some tutu socks that I designed, and I embellished them with little studs on here. Here I have a notebook that I designed, DY. I've also done some banners, bride-to-be. I'm all about chain, and I have some for moms-to-be as well. I didn't just stop there. My first initial craft was chains. So this here is a bracelet. I made the necklace and the anklet as well with it. Then I saw an idea and said, oh, this is neat. I started making these little plates, I don't know, little serving trays with these little shot glasses. And if anybody know anything about Jerome in the house and watch your mouth with the little pimp guy here. So that was a craft that I created. Then I saw something else and I went to purses and I started designing purses. Then I did mugs, and these little cute things here are compact cases. And I did these for breast cancer. So socks. I have a 3D machine. I decided, okay, let me play around with that. I made this box. So I constructed it and put the box together. And the little images on the side. Then I said, okay, I wanted to do something for moms-to-be, so I made this photo holder. But I couldn't just stop there. Of course, I had to add my chain. I'm all about chain, and I said I want to do something different. So I added braiding hair. And in here is where the photo of the sonogram can go. Then I wanted to play around with resin. So I said, okay, what can I make? And these are just some of the, and these are coasters that I played around with. And I really liked it. Of course, here you go, my chain again. So as you see, from time to time, I'm always creating, and I can never decide where to stop. So it just goes on and on. And these are some dominoes that I did. So I have more and more things. As you see, I have my apron. Now this is my logo for Alter Reality. Of course, again, you see the chain. I also did one for graduation. We did a crab boil, and I thought it would be very neat for when my daughter graduated. And this apron was done in 2016, so you can see how well it holds up. And everybody had on the apron, and we enjoyed crabs and shrimp. So I never miss an opportunity to create and show off my crafts. It started out as a hobby, and it grew and grew and grew. I started out with just a heat press. I think it was just a heat press and a printer. And then from there, I got into sublimation. So I had to get a sublimation printer. Then from there, I got the Cricut because I want to cut out different things. And from there, I got a mug press. And it went on and on and on. And let me tell you about my latest adventure, because I love doing stuff with my hands. I took the Sister Lock class. Now let's talk investment, can we? So I have invested in the various ideas that I come up with and trying to decide what I'm going to do. But now I need to make it a business, because I spent my money like it was a business. So now I need to figure out, how am I going to do this, make some money, and still enjoy my crafts.
KY, come on, come on. Oh, GLS, yeah. The gloss. 24/7. GLS 365. Yeah. GLS, the gloss. Yeah. GLS.
Now that you had the opportunity to see some of my crafts, let me tell you how I decide what I'm going to do that day. First of all, when I'm feeling really crafty, I have to get into a very crafty mood. So today I wanted to work on my sublimation machine, but I'm having problems with it. One thing about the sublimation machine, I've had it since 2015. Works amazing. One of the things right now I'm having problems with, I think I have a clog. And it sucks up all my ink. Now the ink is expensive. It costs about a little under $300 just to get a supply of ink. And I bought a new black ink and I bought a new cyan ink. And it sucked it all up. So now I have no ink in my printer. So now I'm trying to figure out what's going on with it. Called the company and they're trying to help me through it. So now that I can't use my sublimation machine, I got to decide on one of the other machines. Now that's one of the things about the investment that I've made. I have various choices. So now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So now today, once I decided what I'm going to do, I'm going to be working with my printer and my Cricut machine. One of the things that I designed as I got my in-home salon ready for when I do sister locks is my logo, and it says Locks to Love. And I wanted to kind of put my own touches because I am a crafter with a million ideas. So I started making these little portraits that I want to create. And this here image is my logo, and of course, yes, the chain. So I wanted to duplicate this in some type of manner. So I went to Hobby Lobby to get one thing, and that was just white paper stock, because I don't know if you can tell, this is actually resin and it gives it a very glossy look, but the image is on paper and then cardstock up underneath to give it that 3D look, which is what I wanted. But the paper is so thin that when I put the resin on, it kind of, I guess, seeped through. So I needed something thicker that when I put the resin on, that it won't seep through and give it like a water stain. As you can see, I've also enhanced the image by putting rhinestones around her to kind of just glam her up a bit, to give her a little bit more of a pop out of the canvas effect. So I decided, well, I'm gonna do some more of those of sort. So went to the store to get the paper craft, and then I also had another idea about candles. See what I'm saying? You start off one way, and being in a store like that, you go somewhere else. But I'm gonna stick to it. So I got some boards, some different boards to kind of create the images on. Not sure what I'm gonna use, but I thought it was a great idea to do it. I'm also going to try to probably squeeze in the candle idea as well. So I bought the materials that I needed for that, but I'm very excited. As you see, my craft room is full of different items. And I am gonna work on kind of organizing it. But one thing about crafting, I'm all over the place. I'll be here, I'll be there. I just don't know where I'm gonna be at next. So what I need to do this project is, as you see, my laptop so I can find my image. I'll be right back with you. Let me set it all up. So now let me go into my design space for Cricut, set that up, and then decide what image I'm going to use. I don't know what image I'm going to do. Usually what I do is just kind of go through, see what I have. If nothing jumps out at me, I'll look at some images on Google or see which items I purchased through Etsy or any of the various places I go to be able to create images, because the plan is to sell them. And what I don't want to do is use someone else's copy when for a couple of more dollars, you can actually buy them and able to actually print up to sometimes 500 or even 1,000 to sell. And that is very much worth it to me. So let me get all set up here, because I don't have the slightest idea what I want to do. I just know I feel like doing something. And usually on the weekends, that's when I get to crafting. And since I'm going to be using the Cricut, I'm going to be cutting out images. So you want something that It's pretty simple and it's not a lot of pieces. I don't want it to be tedious. I want it to be fun. All right, so it took me a little bit longer than I anticipated. Looking for an image that I wanted to do. Always when I do an image, I want to feel it, but I think I like this one, so we're gonna do it. So my choices of canvas to put it on, it's either gonna be this wood, this whoopee plywood. So I'm either gonna put it on this one or maybe this one. Not quite sure yet. I'm gonna play around with it. And then I also have this piece because I wanted to have like a 3D image. So the image that I chose will be this one. And this is one of the ones I bought off of Etsy. It says Black History Month, period. But the month is crossed out, so it's Black History, period. And I like her. So what I have to do first is, because I'm doing this 3D image, so I want to kind of come off the page or come off the canvas, is go to my, I already have it in my Cricut design. So I already have it sized to the size I want. So depending on what your canvas is or what you're putting your image on, you need to make sure that you size it appropriately. So for me, I size it as big as a 5x5. So this is a 5x6, 6 going this way, 5 going down. So I did it as a 5x5 because I really wanted to touch on here, because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add maybe some pearls around her. I'm not quite sure. So what you see here, I have my 4 images that I'm going to cut out on my Cricut, which is just the background, and then I'll print this out on my regular printer and then take it back to my Cricut to cut it out. So all the pieces are the same size. The image I'm going to print, this is a print and cut, and these are basic cuts. So if you know anything about the Cricut or cutting out any images or things like that, this is all in my Cricut. I think this is Design Space. So when I go here to make it, if I get my make it, you'll see I have, it's going to cut this out first. I have to print it first. Then I'll take it and put it on the mat, and then it'll cut all around her hair. So all around her hair should be cut out. So all I should have left is just the image. And then on the second mat is the images that I just want to cut out. And what I'm going to use, I'm thinking for this image, I'm going to use black cardstock because it's a little bit thick, and it's just going to cut out these circles, and I have to align them. And then of course I'm going to use white cardstock for this because it's a little bit thicker. And then we're going to put it all together. So I'll see you in a minute. Let me set up my Cricut machine and get the cutting.
KY, come on, come on. Oh, GLS, yeah. The gloss, 24/7. GLS, 365, yeah. I love it, GLS,
So what I'm going to use is this white cardstock paper. You can pick it up from Walmart, your local craft store. This one I'm using is, I think it's 65 pounds. So I'm going to print my image, my colored image on this white cardstock paper. The printer that I am using is a Epson Workforce 7820. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook up everything and print out my image on my computer. So let's say print. I want to continue, send to printer. So now I got to select the printer because I also have my sublimation printer on here as well. I have a bunch of printers on here actually. So I'm gonna go to my Epson. Let me just So, oh, there you go, 7820. I'm making just one copy, and I'm going to hit print. And I'll show you what it looks like right as soon as it comes up. Everything is being connected. Here we go. I'm starting right now. 1, 2, okay, go ahead. All right, so I just put my paper in. So this printer, this Epson printer, it's just regular printer ink. I've done a lot of research and showed that the ink that's in this Epson Workforce printer works fine. I actually done it on t-shirts. So the ink in here is great. I had a converted Workforce as well that I had converted for different inks because it said it was better for like heat transfers and stuff like that. But this one works fine. So this printer, printers right now are through the roof. So it was $300 plus your tax. So that is another investment. I haven't even had this printer for a year yet. The previous printer that I had for probably 4 years plus, and it cost me $200 plus tax at that time. But again, I did convert it, so that was an additional charge as well. So right now, it's kind of going through the motions, trying to, I think it finds itself. It's doing something. So let's see what's happening. Is it okay? Oh, close. It's got a job status up there. Cricut. So it reads that it's coming, that I'm cutting and printing for a Cricut. So it's already talking to each other of what I'm doing. Oh yeah, if you hear that talking in the back, the whistling, it's my bird, Reese. It's an African gray. So since I'm in here, she thinks I'm right in there with her. So she wants to conversate and talk and be a part of this video. So that's what you hear back there. So here we go. So this is the image, and the colors, it looks great. So that is what's going to be on the top copy, and I'm going to put it on my Cricut mat because now it's going to cut it. So as you see, this black line is considered, they call it registration line. It reads it and say, okay, something is in the box, and then it goes through and we'll cut around. So let's see what my Cricut did. All right. All right, so right now I'm switching machines. I'm going to my Cricut machine so that I can get that started. Everything, most of the stuff I can Bluetooth, but I don't know how to Bluetooth it. I haven't figured it out. So this way I just go from machine to machine, and I'm fine with it. So now I gotta get my Cricut mat so I can put my image on the mat. And one thing with these mats, you can get them in a pack. These are not the Cricut mat, they're Paper Studio. They work just as fine. They come in sets of 2s for like $15. One thing, you go through a lot of these if you do a lot of cutting and stuff, because what it is it has this protector sheet on it and it sticks. But after a while, the stickiness is gone. So you'll go through quite a bit of these. So what I'm doing now is I'm aligning it on my mat so that I can stick it on my Cricut machine. So I'm gonna line it up, and it has like a ruler type of setting, and you just line it. One of the things also, sometimes what I try to do is I try to utilize all my space. So in this case, if I did a big one, usually I'll do one smaller and put it on a smaller canvas, just so that you can maximize the money you already spent and maximize what you're creating. But right now I do not have anything smaller to put it on, so I'm just gonna continue on. So now as I put it in my Cricut machine. Now the Cricut machine, I think when I first bought it, I want to say it was like $349. At the time I bought it in a bundle, and I think for like everything, I got a lot of pieces, vinyls and things like that. I think the bundle cost me like $449, but it was worth it because it was definitely a saving Your vinyl is costly. Everything is costly. So it is an investment, initial investment. So one of the things I always do, I always check my needle, because I say needle, is check it to make sure it's free of any debris. This is one of the knife blades I use a lot to cut vinyl, to cut craft paper. I stick it in, make sure nothing is sticking, because what it does, as it's cutting, you know, stuff gets stuck in there. I do that, put it back in, close it up. So now what I gotta do is go to my laptop and set my settings. This is craft paper, so on your settings you do have paper stock. It has light, medium, and heavy. I'm gonna use the heavy to make sure that it cuts, and it usually cuts very, very well, because I wanna be able to have a clean lift. So let's see what happens. So now the blinking light, I'm gonna hit the blinking light, it's gonna feed it. Now it's ready, hit the cricket sign, it's blinking. It's gonna read it, make sure I'm doing the right one, yes I am. So now what it's doing, the light is on, it's reading the registration marks. It's detecting the image. And it'll go through the top to see where the image starts, go around it. So it just kind of go through it. A light pops on, and it's almost like a camera. And it kind of tells it where everything is, because they know it was printed from a printer. And that usually takes about a minute or two. So usually at this time, because I have various things, and since I know exactly what project I'm going to do, I kind of just start setting my table up with the instruments that I need. So now that my image is completed, what you do actually is just tear it off, and it should cut like scissors. And sometimes you might have a little pieces that has not cut correctly, but if it cuts correctly, it literally, and I do have a few little pieces that I just have to use my scissors and kind of get a little bit more. Most time, and that could mean that my knife blade is getting dull, because like I said, I cut a lot of images, and this is what you'll be left with behind. So just, and what's on the mat, I have a few little pieces that didn't cut properly, but I'm sure that's my knife, is that. And then you just lift it off, and that is the piece, is my top piece. So now what I gotta do is, and I can just cut that off, little piece. Now what I gotta do is put my black cardstock on, and what it's gonna do is just cut out this shape without the image on the front. So it's just gonna cut this out. So now I'm gonna lay it on my Cricut mat. It's best that you pre-prepare. Usually I would have 2 and 3 mats already set up with my paper that I'm using. That way, as soon as I take one out, I just go ahead and stick the other one in, and then I, you know, take it apart, so I'll be ready to go. But in this case, I did not. So now you want to make sure it's all secure. So now I'm going to put this back in the Cricut machine, and it's going to read it and just start cutting it the same cut that I gave it, because it's the same type of weight of stock paper. So now that I have all my images and my pieces cut out, now I have to paint, Mod Podge, put everything together, and I can't wait to show you the end results. Until then.
Hi, have a TV show idea, but don't know how to get started? Reach out to me at glstvnetwork.com @gmail.com. Again, that's glstvnetwork.com @gmail.com, and we'll help you find your voice.
All right, here we go. So now I put all my pieces together. I Mod Podged it, I glued it down, and as you can see, it's kind of shiny. I put some resin on it to kind of give it a nice glossy look. Also, I got a string in here because what I did was I put a hole in there so that it is ready to be hung after I take the string out. So that is that piece. I really like it. I think it came out really, really good. One thing I am going to do, I noticed that even though I painted the back, I'm not very pleased with how the back looks. So I'm going to get like a placemat or something just to kind of give it a more finished look. Even though it's up against the wall, when people are looking at your item, you want it to look very finished. But she came out really, really good. On this one, same thing. As you see, I added the chain. Look at that shine. See that? So I Mod Podged the very top, and one thing, Mod Podged, resin the top, which gave it that gloss. I don't know if you can see, I did do a Mod Podge glitter. So on them, you will see not only the shine, but it gives it like a dimensional look with the glitter. Added the chain and put some of the little turquoise studs in there. She's amazing. One thing about her is I am going to add a little bit more. As you see, she has such a blunt cut here and it kind of stops. I'm not really happy with that, so I think I'm going to either add feathers or some type of something to kind of fill it out more, to give it a more fuller, complete look. Again, I put a string in it just so that I can poke a hole. And I'm going to complete the back with a more finished mat so that it looks more finished. Stay tuned, because when I finish doing everything that I plan on doing with her, I promise I will show it in the next episode. So keep watching. This is your girl, Katt, and boy, do I have a million ideas. And I'll show you some more later. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Sunny J with Sunny J Live. Check me out on the GLS TV network, better known as The Gloss. You can find us on your Roku device or Roku TV. Again, it's GLS, The Gloss. I look forward to seeing you there.
Come on, come on. Oh, GLS, yeah. The gloss, the gloss. 24/7. GLS, 365. GLS, the gloss.
Hi, have a TV show idea, but don't know how to get started? Reach out to me at glstvnetwork.com @gmail.com. Again, that's glstvnetwork.com @gmail.com, and we'll help you find your voice.